What we are going to do, and this is what the statute of the court allows, is to intervene in the case, supporting the court in its interpretation of the precautionary measures it is taking and contributing all those elements that can help it to apply them. The crime of genocide itself is the work of the tribunal, and as I have said on many occasions, Spain, as it is doing with the precautionary measures, will support the decision taken by the International Court of Justice.
Now, let me bring in my next guest. Nasser Mashni is the president of the Australia Palestine Advocacy Network. He joins us now live from Sydney. Thank you there, Nasser, for joining us here on TRT World. So Spain appears to be adding on to the pressure on Israel at the ICJ, but there has actually just been a statement from multiple countries, including the US, UK and Spain, that are urging Hamas to close the ceasefire agreement, saying that Israel is in fact ready to move forward with it. Does that really reflect reality?
Look, who actually knows what's happening on the ground in Palestine today? What we do know categorically is that Israel has used food as a weapon of war, starvation as a weapon of war. What we do know is that Israel has obliterated the entirety of Gaza's health system, education system, civil structure, and killed well in excess of 50,000 people. What we do know is that what exists today within the United States and the rest of the world is the opportunity to end this genocide by removing the diplomatic and military impunity and support that they give to the state of Israel. While Spain is joining the ICJ case, South Africa's ICJ case, now more than 3 months too late for them to join, but we welcome them joining. They are still selling arms to Israel. They still have diplomatic relations with Israel. They should be sanctioning apartheid Israel and recalling their ambassador and really ratcheting up the diplomatic pressure, as we saw what happened with Russia in the invasion of Ukraine.
Now, let me talk about this attack on the Nuseirat camp, which has killed at least 40 people, including 14 children. The Israeli army says it took, quote, a number of steps to reduce the risk of harming civilians. And we're just now getting a line also from the chief of UNRWA. He says that Israel hit Gaza school without any prior warning. So Israel basically knows that it's a school, that there were civilians there, including kids, and they still went ahead with a strike. What does that tell you about the world's most so-called moral army?
Well, we know, anyone that knows what Israel is that it's a fascist, genocidal, racist apartheid state. Israel has acted with impunity now for 243 days, and it continues to do for the 75 years before October 7. Israel knows then, now, and tomorrow that the coordinates of every safe spot within Gaza, the camps within Rafah and Nuseirat, these are where people have been dislocated from the north of Gaza 3, 4, 5 times. When Israel says that they're doing the best they can to stop civilian deaths, they are making a mockery of anyone's humanity, or making any of us believe that they actually care about civilian deaths. There is no question. We've seen Israeli targeted surgical strikes on Hezbollah targets in Syria, in Lebanon, around the world, in fact. Israel has the capacity to, quote unquote, be surgical. But as we know, this is not a war on Hamas. This is a war on Palestine. It's a war on Palestinians. Israel's got a Palestinian problem, not a Hamas problem.
Well, they do say, though, that they actually went after the group Hamas. They claim that it was about 20 to 30 Hamas fighters in this school when they bombed it. But why would, though, collateral damage be okay with dead children when you go after Hamas?
It's entirely unacceptable. The reality in the West, the Palestinian lives are so cheap. This term collateral damage that came out of Gulf War I, that was coined by George Bush Sr. to minimize the death of innocent Iraqis, has been used the world over now to cheapen the loss of humanity. Every one of those children, every one of those women, every one of those men had dreams and hopes and aspirations for a better life. The fact that Israel can kill so wantonly and continue to kill without the world reacting in the way it ought to is a blight on humanity. Today, every day, we are sad for Gaza, but I can tell you, living in the West, I am sad for humanity. What we are seeing in Gaza is the new standard that will be applied across the world. What is happening in Palestine is coming to a place near you, and it will happen, and it will be because you didn't stop this genocide. It behooves all people of good conscience, wherever they may be on this earth, to act up, speak up, and shout out to try and stop this genocide. It's beyond time. We can stop it now if America stops the armaments, if the West takes away the diplomatic and normalcy that Israel has. It's just obscene. Ambassadors should be thrown out of countries. Diplomatic relationships ended. Military trade immediately stopped. Exactly what happened in Russia should be applied today to apartheid, genocidal Israel.
As we're speaking, the U.S. President Joe Biden is in fact talking in Normandy in northern France. It's to commemorate the 80th anniversary after the Second World War. We started out by talking about the U.S. and you pretty much put the blame on the U.S. that they could do a lot more to stop this war. Draw these comparisons for me, please, from what the U.S. did during the Second World War and what's happening now and what they could do right now.
There's absolutely no question. The genocidal machine that is the Israeli apartheid state is being supplied by 24/7 air flights and ship supplies from the United States. The bombing would stop within 24 hours if America turned off the supply chain. You know, I saw some of the data of some of the aeroplane flights that are flying in via Ireland and the UK into Tel Aviv. It's shocking the number of planes that are coming out of the United States to rearm Israel. The amount of munitions that have been dropped on Gaza. Remember, this is a civilian captured population in a concentration camp, only 365 square kilometers in size. The TNT equivalent of 3 Hiroshima nuclear bombs has been dropped on 2.2 million captive Palestinians. America is absolutely complicit in this genocide. It is elbow deep in the blood of innocent Palestinians. It stops today if President Biden wants it to stop. In 1982, when Ariel Sharon and Menachem Begin were on a blood rampage in Beirut, Ronald Reagan called Menachem Begin and said the war stops today, and the war stopped that day. President Biden needs to call that genocidal maniac Benjamin Netanyahu and say, stop. Enough blood. It's obscene.
Nasser Mashni, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here on TRT World.
My pleasure. Thank you.